Okay, this is an overview of the National Instruments data acquisition hardware and software that we use in the 402 lab to access the virtual instruments, as National Instruments calls them. Look at this shortcut, 402 apps. Double click on that and all the apps will come up in this window. We're going to look at the VI called Scope. Here it is. You've got controls here for the channel, which is by default set to analog input 0, which is, you shouldn't have to change that. That's also the trigger source. Two controls you'll be using mostly are the number of samples and the sample rate. Also down here you have the A to D range, which selects the full-scale range of the 16-bit A to D converter that's part of the hardware. You also have controls for triggering. You can select the level, much like on the oscilloscope, and whether it is rising or falling. You also can select between single sweep and free run. Generally we'll be using free run in here. Okay, I'm going to put in, got a 100 hertz sine wave connected to the hardware right now. I'm going to put in a sample rate of 5,000 using the keyboard and 500 samples. If I start this with the run icon up here, the white arrow, you can see that this is clipped because my A to D range is set to plus or minus 0.1 volt. So I'm going to change that to 1 on the fly while it's running. And you can see now the signal is fully viewable. It's going to show you the trigger level. If I set this to 0.5, now it'll trigger at approximately 0.5 volts, either rising or falling. You'll sometimes see it switch back and forth, and that's just due to local noise picking up a slope at that point, different than what it actually is. You also have, I'm going to stop this now so it's nice and steady. You also have cursor controls down here. By clicking on this or using the arrow keys on the keyboard, you can move that cursor, and the display shows here the X and the Y coordinates. You'll notice that by default we're showing each discrete data point and then connecting them with a straight line. And that's an overview of the virtual instrument, or VI, called Scope.